Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Spirit Side Podcast. I'm your host, Paul James Caden, and we have a lot of things to get to today in this episode. The last episode of the Spirit Side was just 2 days ago. 2 days ago before the recording of this episode, and the madness continues. This particular podcast is going to be almost like a news briefing because there's so much to talk about. And first of all, of course, we have to touch on the conspiracy theories that are out there. People are still saying the virus doesn't exist. It's just a cold. There are parts of the world that aren't even reporting that anyone has the virus, and there's certainly no deaths caused by the virus. Several people online had mentioned to me that we're not hearing any reports of this coming out of the UK. Now, I don't know what planet these people live on. I don't know what dimension they come from, or whether they're just doing the classic, I believe what I believe, and I block all other information because I can't stand to be wrong or proven wrong. But there's absolutely cases of this in the UK. I've got news for people. I know folks that live in the UK. I work for a company that's based in the UK. So my supervisor, my boss, the person I report to online, very nice lady. She lives in the UK. She has a family. And she says that the hospitals are getting overwhelmed. The supermarkets are bare, just like they are here. People are panic buying. People are sick. People are dying, and she's afraid. She has little children at home, and she's very concerned for the welfare of her family, of her children. And I also know of other people that have friends and relatives in the UK who have been affected with the coronavirus. And some of them are in very serious condition right now, critical condition. And they're worried for their loved ones. They're praying for their loved ones. So to say that this kind of thing doesn't exist in the UK or in Russia or other parts of the world, I don't even know what kind of fantasy trip someone would be on to actually believe that. And it's just another reason that I say, ladies and gentlemen, don't believe all of this nonsense that you hear. Hot off the presses, another wonderful new conspiracy theory that's circulating around the web, gaining some traction, is that when the new coronavirus finally does come out, whether it be next month, next year, whenever, near or far, don't get the vaccine because it is going to be inhabited with demons. Now, I don't know whether these people believe that there are going to be microscopic demons in the vaccine or demon DNA. I don't know how this works, but they believe, and I quote one individual that I saw on Facebook who said something tall, dark, and demonic will be in the coronavirus vaccine. And I just know that I'm right. Folks, does it get any more demented? I'm sure that it will. I'm absolutely sure that it will. You know, we have everyone believing that this is 5G or 5G has something to do with this. And maybe they're right. Maybe it does, maybe it kind of does, but we don't know. We're all going on theory, conspiracy theory, and conjecture at this point. We're not having any hard scientific proof that any of this is the case. Save a few people on YouTube that may have the letters MD, at the end of their name, and they're perpetuating these theories. But we can't go off the deep end with this kind of thing. So don't believe all of the hype. Don't let yourself be afraid, making more of this than it already is. There's enough to think about without thinking about 5G, without thinking about demons in the vaccine, without thinking, oh my God, there's parts of the world that aren't even having COVID-19. What's going on? There's also a picture circulating around the internet. And it shows a train with a car, one of the train cars, looks like a sealed, like something they would have oil or some kind of liquid in, like a refrigeration car. And this was not far from me, Buffalo, New York. And on the side of the train car, it says COVID-19. And there's a zoom in of this train car with a big red circle around it. I did a lot of research on this particular photo. I couldn't find anything about it. I don't know who took it. I don't know where it came from. My suspicions are that it's photoshopped. I asked the people who posted it, do you know anything about this photo? Because I'm noticing people are posting it on social media and on the internet and sharing it with one another, but nobody really knows where it came from. They're just taking for granted that this is real. And every single one of the people said, I don't know where it came from, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's real. It's probably not. So when you see things like this on the internet, trains pulling train cars that say COVID-19 on one of the cars, do yourself a favor and research the topic. See if you can find anything out about what you're looking at. Ask the people who share it, do you know anything about this? Where did you get it? Who took the photo? How do we know it's not Photoshop? Usually you're going to get, people just kind of stammering over those questions because they don't know. They're just taking for granted that it's real because it seems to back up their conspiracy theories that this is a bioweapon or the government released COVID-19 and all of this other kind of stuff. And hey, they could. I always say, you've heard me say it, I don't trust the government. I don't put anything past these people. They definitely have an agenda. They will do things very half-assedly. They don't really care about the little guy. And here is, speaking of the vaccine, we do have to be careful with these things. We absolutely do. I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything like that, but yeah, I'm aware there's some stuff in these vaccines that they shouldn't be pumping into our bodies. And is that part of the agenda? Is that part of perpetuating sickness and disease, population control? I mean, there's a lot of rabbit holes we could go down when it comes to, vaccinations and needles and, what they're injecting into our bodies. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, even though I know there's things out there we have to look out for. There is an agenda. But we can't start going crazy the minute something like this happens, because what if it's not part of the agenda? What if it's just something that's happening? and we're all going nuts for no reason, telling everybody, oh my God, this is it. This is it. The next part is coming. Oh my God. And then the next part never comes because we were wrong. And a lot of people that cry wolf and cry that the sky is falling have been wrong many times throughout the years. So this is nothing new that people are saying. But nonetheless, again, we do have to be careful. And there is an article on Reuters talking about the coming coronavirus vaccine. And it says, pressures for coronavirus vaccine mounts. Scientists debate risks of accelerated testing. And the article says, in part, that behind the scenes, scientists and medical experts are concerned that rushing a vaccine could end up worsening the infection in some patients rather than preventing it. Studies have suggested that coronavirus vaccines carry the risk of what is known as vaccine enhancement, where instead of protecting against infection, the vaccine can actually make the disease worse when a vaccinated person is infected with the virus. So this is something, now this is a reality. There are some scientists who are worried about this happening. And of course, when it comes to making vaccines, you got big pharma involved, you got the government involved. Could they slide somebody a fistful of dollars to make sure that there is vaccine enhancement in a number of people? Again, you don't put it past the government. I don't put anything past them. I myself, when this vaccine comes out, I'm certainly going to wait and see how it affects other people. Are we getting a lot of reports of people getting ill, getting sick, having side effects, coming down with coronavirus? So I'm not saying don't go out and get the vaccination. I myself, people will probably say, oh my God, what are you doing, man? But I get my flu shot every year. Why? Because I had the flu a number of years ago, and I'll tell you what, that flu damn near killed me. That was one of the worst, most debilitating, horrible, long, drawn-out sicknesses I've ever had. And since marrying my wife, who is a special education teacher, a stepdaughter who goes to school, they're in Durham County all the time. So I started getting the flu shot. And I haven't had the flu, thank God, knock on wood. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't get this particular shot, but I'm going to do my research. And believe me, before I went and I got the flu shot, I did my research. I weighed out the pros and the cons. What is true, what is false, what is hype, what is a bunch of bull crap. And I made a decision that I felt was right for me. Now, what anybody else does, that's up to them. But that's my personal choice that I felt comfortable with. Are there things I feel uncomfortable with about it? Absolutely. And I try my best every year to get a clean flu shot that doesn't have, the mercury and the preservatives and, all that other stuff, those preservatives that are in there. Now, some people say, well, it's in there anyway. Well, again, you got to do your research and do what's best for you. But again, not getting off on a tangent here. I'm not saying I wouldn't get this particular vaccine once it comes out. But again, I would do my research, and I would suggest that we all do the same. Try to stay away from the conspiracy theorists. Try to get the actual medical documentation. If people are falling ill, if people are dying, if people are having some bad effect, give it a few months before you step up to the plate and have this thing jabbed into your arm. That's probably what I'm going to do while I do my research and before I make any decisions. But this is something we definitely have to be aware of. Here is another bit of good news about the coronavirus. We thought only toilet paper and hand sanitizer was flying off the shelves, along with everything else. But here's one from a couple of days ago, actually one day ago. And it is coronavirus US. People are panic buying guns and ammo amid coronavirus panic. So, there's articles on the internet. They're going into the sporting goods sections of the local Walmarts. They're buying out the guns and the ammo. Specialty shops, the little specialty gun shops, people are just like toilet paper and hand sanitizer buying guns and ammo and rifles. They're actually afraid that there's going to be looting, that there's going to be civil unrest, that people are going to be rioting in the streets. And here they are, they want to protect themselves. But it's just like I talked about in one of my other podcasts. How many of these people buying the guns are going to eventually start participating in the looting? This, ladies and gentlemen, is not a good thing. And if you're out there listening to this show and you have a gun or you've purchased a gun, keep it in your home. If someone breaks into your house trying to hurt you or your family or take what you have, then naturally you have to defend yourself. I get that. But don't be one of these people, and there's many of them, because as I've said in shows past, I know quite a few truthers and conspiracy theorists and how they're networking and forming their militias. And all these people plan to get together in the big, crap hits the fan situation. And we don't want to be like them, where the plan is, we're all, Christians and Bible and God and, all this survival. But when it really comes down, these people plan to blow away the opposition, get in their way, we'll shoot you. We don't think you're a patriot. We don't think you stand for what we stand for. We think you're some kind of threat. We're going to take you down. If we are hungry, if our families are hungry, if our group is hungry, we will take from other people. I had one guy say, he was talking about, we were talking about bug out bags. And I said, I don't have one, but I said, do you have one? And he said, I have a couple that I've made. He goes, but I'm not worried about it because I have a pistol permit and I always have a gun with me. So if I happen to be out somewhere and something happens and I don't have one of my bug out bags with me, I'll just take someone else's. And I laughed it off because I thought he was joking. He said, no, I'm serious. He said, I'll walk right up to somebody, point my gun at their head and say, I'll take that bug out bag. And these, for the most part, would be people, if you met in everyday life and sat down and had dinner or had a conversation, you would say, gee, what a nice guy, what nice people. But look at the thoughts they harbor. Look at the kind of things they think about. And now, here's everyone going out, panic buying guns and ammo. Well, I don't know, folks. Opinions may differ, but I don't think this is a very healthy or good thing. Because most people can't think past their own noses in this day and age. So how responsible are they going to be with a gun? In desperate times, when they're hungry, when they're thirsty, when they're tired, when they're in the heat of summer or the cold of winter, what are they going to do? Rather than come across someone and say, gee, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired, I see you have supplies, can you help me? No, they're just going to point the gun and say, give me what I want. And you know what the sad reality of that is, folks? Most people, if you were cold and hungry and tired and desperate, and you came upon a group of people that had supplies and said, I'm really hungry, I'm really tired, can you help me? Most of those people would probably point a gun at you and say, no, get lost. This is ours. And that's the very sad reality of the world we live in. I mean, you want to talk about the spirit side. I think there's a lot of people in this world that definitely need a serious encounter with the true peace and love of God in their lives. Because even though many of these people talk about God and Christ and the Bible or whatever the case may be, it's violent. Very violent, very selfish. And I'll tell you, I went on a campaign on my social media, and I unfriended and I got rid of a lot of people that are spouting these conspiracy theories, and all the people that spout the conspiracy theories, but also go along saying things like, and I quote, sorry for the bad language, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a church Christian. I'll kick somebody's fucking ass or put a knife in their fucking gut if they mess with me or my old lady. If somebody comes along and tries to take what I have, I believe in Jesus, but I'm going to blow their fucking ass away. Now I'm quoting here, reading from what some people said. And these are just a couple. Here's another one. There are people on Facebook who want to unfriend me because they say I claim to be a Christian, but all I do is spew hate. I say to these people, now again, cover your ears if you don't like foul language, fuck you bitches. If you don't like what I'm saying, unfriend me and go fuck yourself. And as far as those of you who don't support our president, you're a fucking idiot and probably want to be a socialist. Go burn in hell with your socialist democratic candidate, and we'll see who's right in the end. This kind of thing goes on and on and on. But see, I read those snippets because this is the mentality of people. Yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, I believe in John, but I'm not a church Christian. I'll kill you. It's taken a bad turn in this country. And I'm talking about the United States. And sadly, there's people like this all over the world. all over the world. What are we going to do when and if things get really bad and really hard? I don't think most of us will survive it. Whether we're well, whether we're sick, whether a virus gets us, an atomic bomb, or some jughead with a gun. We have enough to worry about, and then we have to worry about each other. And you know, folks, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, I'm not one to give up. I wouldn't throw in the towel. But if that's the way the world goes, if this turns into something major, or something worse happens, I wouldn't really be afraid if I caught the virus and ended up expiring in this world, or if somebody came in and just shot me down. Because I don't want to participate in that kind of living. I don't want to participate in that kind of world. That's not who I am. I don't approve of that sort of thing. If that's how you want to be, have at it. You want to buy your one-way ticket to hell or wherever people go for doing bad things when they leave this world, that's up to you. I'm not afraid to go home. I'm not afraid to go back to my Creator. Because though I'm not perfect, I have, my little issues, I'm sure, but I try to be a good person, and I really believe that there is something greater out there. I believe in life after death. I believe that the spirit goes on. I've seen too much evidence of that in my life. And I don't expect anybody else to believe me. I don't expect anybody else to believe the things that I believe. But I know in my heart what I believe. I know in my heart the things I've seen, the things I've experienced. And I'm not afraid to go to that place. So if people want to make this a hell on earth, they can have it. We're talking about a lot of crazy and bad stuff here on this show since this whole coronavirus outbreak began. And it's creepy. It's weird. But I don't think any of us should be afraid. God has our back. The angels have our back. And those of us that try to do good and try to do good to others and take care of others in these times of need and crisis, we don't have anything to worry about. But now these people hiding behind the guns and the violence and I'll cut your fucking throat and kick your fucking ass and put a fucking knife in your stomach and take in your bug out bag if I happen to not have one with me, and, rioting and looting and panic buying. They think those are the things that are going to save them and preserve them in the end. And I got news. It is not. They may up your chances for life in this world a little bit, but eventually someone with the same game plan as you just might take you out, or you might get sick, and you might die. And then the question bears asking, then what? And we all need to ask ourselves that question, because it is a very important one. Because this world is getting really crazy. And a couple of other things I want to mention before we end this show. Talk about asinine, talk about needing to put our faith in God because people are going nuts. Listen to this one. There is a coronavirus challenge right now where young people are challenging each other to go into public and lick doorknobs and toilet seats. I will say no more about that one, except God help us all. And he certainly will help some of us. I don't know about these jackasses that are going out there licking doorknobs and toilet seats and, putting their tongue on things in public places where sick people might have been. Hey, good luck with that. But this, it's absolutely ridiculous. Another one to think about. In Italy, the hospitals and doctors are facing a choice there on who they're going to give treatment to. And they're giving the life-saving treatment to those who are more likely to survive. So if you're old, 80 or over, if you're in critical condition, if you might not survive as long, even if you are cured of the virus, they're allowing people to die. Now, this isn't, as some people, there's a whole thing, it's because of socialized medicine. They're letting the old die. I've looked into this. That doesn't seem to be the case. They're just, I guess, short on medicine, giving the medicine to those who are stronger, those who are likely to survive, live longer after they are cured of the virus. And also, as I read in one report, the hospitals are completely overwhelmed. They don't have any more beds. So there's certain people that they're just sadly making the choice to let them expire so they have room for somebody that they can actually really help. And that is very sad. And it doesn't sound like they're doing this just because, socialized medicine, we're going to start, rather than jump on the conspiracy theories, because I looked into this, it doesn't seem to be the case. Rather than pointing fingers and starting panic and saying, oh my God, look what's happening there. Maybe we should keep the people of Italy in our prayers because they need it right now. They don't need criticism and conspiracy theory and all this other kind of nonsense. They need to be brought into the divine presence and prayed for. Grace, mercy, healing, whatever it is they need. Peace to make their transition to the other side without fear, without suffering. See, we have to take a different approach to all of this. And also, there was an article online that said in I believe it was Japan, there was an outbreak of the bird flu. Is this going to be the thing that creeps up behind the coronavirus? If it does, wow. That's all I'm going to say. Wow. That would be a serious double whammy. And there's probably a double and a triple whammy already coming. Because as I've heard a couple people talking about and mentioned it to me, and I was thinking about it, we're getting into tornado season here in the United States. And every year there's disasters. What are people going to do when towns are shut down, businesses are shut down, hospitals are overwhelmed, people are sick, people are dying, and these, sometimes it's 2, 3, 4, 10, 12, tornadoes that come through an area in one night with these severe and unpredictable weather patterns. And what are they going to do when these things start ripping through towns and cities this year? What's going to happen if there's a major earthquake somewhere, or a couple places, or a tsunami, or any unforeseen natural disaster that could happen? I'm not, trying to cause panic or make anybody feel afraid, because I don't feel that we should be afraid. But, these are things we have to think about. And I think we should think about helping our neighbor if we can. Even if it's just praying for our neighbor in another country, another town, another state. I mean, this may have not been the most uplifting podcast, but I just wanted to bring the news, the headlines, what's happening, give a little bit of perspective. And as I'm doing that, that's the thing that keeps coming to me. And though it might sound trite, it might sound like the thing that everybody says when things like this happen. And maybe it is trite. Maybe it's the thing everybody says, but maybe it bears repeating. Or maybe it bears repeating from a person who really feels it in my mind, my heart, my soul, not out of fear, not out of, you better get right with your creator because the apocalypse is coming and, you want to make sure you're not going to hell or you're not judged or you're not left behind in some rapture or, blah, de blah. But maybe we just need to hear it from a different perspective and feeling that I have about it all. And that is, get right with your creator. Get right with God. Do the right thing. Keep being good people. And know that no matter what happens in this crazy world that we live in, as I said before, somebody's got our back. God's got our back. The angels have our back. It might not all be pleasant. Some people are going to lose their lives. But for me, if I'm one of those people that somehow end up losing my life in all this, I get the coronavirus, I don't make it, or something else happens, I just choose to do what I've always done in my life. And that's just lean back into the presence of God and say, you know what? No matter what happens, you're there. You've got my back. Nothing's out of your sight. Nothing's out of your control. You're in charge, ultimately, no matter what's going on. And I just take peace in that. And that's something I've done my whole life since I was a little kid. And it's never failed to bring me peace. It's never failed to get me through. Divine protection and preservation through things like this, it's not something that's unheard of. We just might be one of the people that happens for. But we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid. We just have to be prepared. We just have to have our inner peace. We have to know that God is there for us, that this old world and our lives in it isn't going to last forever anyway. So make sure when we leave this place, we go to a life that's better. And all of this, as some people say, when you get to the other side, it's just like a dream you woke up from. There really is a peace that surpasses all understanding, and there really is a peace that you just can't explain to other people. When your refuge, your sanctuary, your faith and your trust is not in guns or knives or survival equipment or how much hand sanitizer you have or how many rolls of toilet paper you have or how many bags of rice and cans of tuna and bags of beans, because there's still fear in all of that. There's still the fear. What if somebody comes and takes it away? What if looters come and rob me? What if looters come and kill me and my family and take our food? Or kill me and take my wife and my kids and my food? See, there's fear. Something could happen. Something could take this away. There's fear. What if this lasts so long that I run out? And there's no more stores, no more supermarkets, nowhere else to get supplies. I have to go out and try to rough it in the wilderness to hunt and find food and firewood. Oh God, I hope that doesn't happen. See, there's fear because those things are temporary. It's a Band-Aid. Those things are a Band-Aid that keeps the wound a little bit protected, but it's not ultimate protection. But when you can have that presence of mind to say, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. I got my food. I got my this. I'm locked down with my family. I'm going to try to still be a good person. I'm going to do what's right. But ultimately, I'm just going to trust in God. Whatever happens, that must be the divine plan for me. I'm just going with it. Because God is ultimately in control of all this. I don't fear going back to my Creator, back to my source. It's all good in the end. Life is eternal, and this is just a part of eternity right now. This is what's happening right now. But it's not what's going to be happening for all of eternity. This world is temporary. We're just on a journey going through it. And I say trust in that journey. Trust in God that's with you on this journey. Trust in the angels that walk with you on this journey. Trust in nature. Trust in the divine plan. Just trust. Because those are things that nothing or no one can ever take away and that you will never run out of. Once again, I thank you for listening to this show today. I appreciate you always taking time out of your schedule. Those of you that listen, stay safe out there, everyone. Use common sense. Don't buy into the fear. Use this time to get closer to your Creator, deepen your faith, deepen your connection, deepen your inner peace. And no matter what, you're going to be all right. I'm Paul James Caden, and I will see you back here next time on the Spirit Side.